Hi, hello, welcome back. Wow, what a big old week we've had for Halloween Horror Nights announcement. We've had our final original house announcement, we've had our second to last IP house announcement, 5 scare zones, 1 show. It's been wild. So first off, we have the secret IP house, which replaced an original that we talked about in the last video. And that is Jordan Peele's Us. Now, if you follow me on Instagram or Twitter, you'll know that when I very first saw this film at the cinema, I was obsessed with it. I couldn't stop talking about it, I couldn't stop Googling it. I love a film that makes you think about it for an extended period afterwards, and honestly, I spent days thinking about this film. I was so interested. But I also spoke quite a lot about how I personally couldn't see it ever coming to Halloween Horror Nights as a house, but the Halloween Horror Nights team are about to show us exactly how they're going to do it, and my interest is piqued. So some confirmed things that we'll see in this house is the Wilson's family beach house, which we'll get to walk through, the Santa Cruz Pier, where we'll see a familiar character outside of the fun house. Now, when I first saw this, I was like, Jack. It's going to be Jack. It's going to be an Easter egg for next year. I'm excited. But now what I think that we'll see is our doppelganger. So I don't necessarily think that will be like a mirror where we'll see ourselves. I think it will be a more advanced kind of effect. I don't know if my imagination's just run wild here, and I don't know exactly how to describe what I think it's going to be. But some kind of effect where we'll see our tethered self. I just don't know how they'll do it. We'll also get to venture through the tunnels and come face to face with the tethered. I think this is going to be such a creepy house. It then goes on to say that we'll be transported to modern day, where we'll get to see the tethered rise up and enact their plan of murder and revenge. I'm very interested to see how this house is going to be done. I'm so excited about the music in this house. I adored the Us soundtrack. I used to have it on repeat in my car all the time, constantly. I loved it. So haunting, so cool. I got 5 on it. I'll be stuck in your head forever after going through this house, I imagine. Honestly, going off of the announcements that we've had so far, the entire Halloween Horror Nights 29 soundtrack is going to be amazing. I can't wait to make a playlist when we get home. Moving on to our final original house announcement, which was Graveyard Games. I was so hyped about this house when it was rumoured. I talked at length on the podcast Universal After Dark. If you're not already subscribed, please go and check it out because I have so much fun doing it every week. I talked about how I thought it would be based on Highgate Cemetery in London, which is famous for its vampires. I was wrong, no vampires here, but I am not mad. I love graveyards in general. I love the whole vibe. I love the spookiness, and I'm all about ghosts. I think that this house is going to be beautiful. I'm torn right now about whether I think it's going to have a winter setting or a kind of fall autumn setting. I also spoke about this on the podcast, and my co-host Nick suggested that maybe because we're having the Yeti house, which is going to be snowy and wintry, then maybe it would be something more along the lines of an autumn night in a cemetery. So this house is going to be set in the Ascension Parish Cemetery, and I'm imagining that we could have a really cool church structure, maybe along the lines of the gorgeous one that we had in the Twisted Tradition Scarezones last year. I loved that so much. I thought it was gorgeous. So they go on to say that in the cemetery, it's normal to find teens hanging around the tombstones. But we're about to see the repercussions of the disrespectful antics that these teens have caused when they awake the spirits of the dead. It also says that we'll wind through dark mausoleums, love it, decaying coffins, also love it, and ghosts of every shape and form. I'm so excited. Skeletal beings, ghostly apparitions, and vengeful spirits will try to drag us to the grave. And in the end, we'll find out what happened to those who tried to deface the cemetery. This sounds so cool. This is going to be really high on my hype list. I can't make my hype list until next week, but already I'm struggling because every house that's been announced so far is high up on the list. One of my favourite parts about this house announcement is that we're going to have an interactive element to it. So before we enter the house, we'll get the chance to chat with local teens and storytellers of the town, where we can learn about the history of the cemetery and the spooky legends that it keeps. To do this, you need to have access to Facebook Messenger, and we'll be interacting with the Halloween Horror Nights page. I love this. I really miss the old days of Halloween Horror Nights where we had interactive websites fights and the story would kind of unfold during announcement season. I think this is really cool. So moving on to Scarezones, which we don't have an awful lot of information about as of right now, but I'm really hoping that we get another roundtable discussion with the creative team where we can learn a little bit more about the stories of these zones. So to save a little bit of time, I'm going to do these Scarezones in order of my hype list, going from 5 to 1. So number 5 is Vanity Ball. I love the artwork for this Scarezone. So this is going to be set in the Hollywood area of the park, and here our bodies will become the canvas for blade wielding artists. I imagine that this Scarezone is going to be gross. I kind of joked on the podcast about how I thought it would be like chicken heads sewn onto human bodies, and even though I was totally kidding with that, I feel like that would actually be pretty cool. But I think it's going to be more along the lines of like watching an episode of Botched. I think it's going to be like giant lips and like mismatched limbs, victims trying to maybe put themselves back together, plastic surgeons trying to obviously cut us up. I don't know. I mean, we don't have a lot to go off of here. So number 4 is Zombieland Double Tap. And in the interest of fairness, I feel like I can't really comment too much on this Scarezone because I haven't seen the film, which is a rarity when it comes to IPs coming to Halloween Horror Nights, and it has been rumoured for a long time. I just haven't had time to watch it yet, but it is definitely on my list this week of things that I need to watch. Everybody that I've spoken to has told me that it's a great film, and I do love a good zombie, so I'm sure that I'll enjoy it, and I'm sure it's going to make a great zone. So this is going to be based off of Zombieland and the upcoming sequel, so I guess I have to watch that too. Number 3 is An Arcade, and this was really hard because I couldn't decide between this and my number 2. I kept switching them around, but it's too late now. I've made the final decision. This is number 3. So this is an 80s inspired arcade which is taking over the Avenue of the Stars. Already love it. It goes on to say that at first we may think that it's a party, but we will quickly learn that game over means a permanent end for us. A gang of neon slashers are out to play, and this is one game that we do not want to lose. Neon slashers, all about it. I think this one is going to look so cool. I freaking love arcades. I obviously love slashers, and this one is going to fit in the most with the 80s theme of the event. I think this one will be one of the more photogenic Scarezones that we'll have this year, and I can't wait to hear what kind of music they're going to put in this zone. So number 2 is Vikings Undead. History? Yes. Big Vikings? Yes. Undead? Big Vikings? Yes. Potential fire effects? Double yes, this sounds awesome. So the description of this one is that we are all familiar with the brutal Viking warriors. It's terrifying enough to picture facing them alive, now picture facing them as the undead. So this is going to be set in the Central Park area, and that's the only thing about this zone where I'm a little bit like, only because it's such a compact area, I feel like it's just going to be a very tight zone. And obviously this means that we won't see our beloved tree pumpkins in Central Park this year, sadly. So that means that number 1 is Rob Zombie Hellbilly Deluxe. I love Rob Zombie. I love his whole vibe, I love his films, I love his music. I am a big Rob Zombie fan, and I am so happy about this Scarezone. So when this was rumoured, we were unsure about whether this would be a Rob Zombie films and music zone, or just films, or just music. But the blog post states, you know his music, now it's time to live it. Step into the heavy metal horror of Rob Zombie's music and imagery in this pulse-pounding Scarezone. Sounds amazing. From otherworldly beings to brutal maniacs, we'll come face to face with his twisted creations as the music cranks to a frenzy. So when they say imagery, I imagine that they mean we'll see things from the music videos of the songs that are on the Hellbilly Deluxe album. So maybe like a Rob Zombie lookalike with the weird like industrial claw arms from Meet the Creeper. But there's so much cool dark stuff that could be used from music videos like Dragula, Super Beast, and obviously Live and Dead Girl. And what teenage goth girl did not have that as a MySpace profile song? Am I right, ladies? And if we want to see some real weird we could see the dancing chick plushie from the Ballad of Resurrection, and that music video has like a weird 80s kids TV show vibe, so it would be fitting. I can't wait for the Scarezone. I don't think I've been this excited for a Scarezone in a long time. This is entirely my vibe. I would really love to see some characters from his films in the Scarezone. I know that it only specifies his music, but it would be cool to see characters like Doomhead from 31 or Dr. Satan from House of a Thousand Corpses. So I mean, we may see him elsewhere. So that is it for Scarezones. I am very interested in hearing your guys' hype list, so let me know in the comments down below. So along with those awesome Scarezone announcements, we also heard that Academy of Villains will be returning for their 4th year at Halloween Horror Nights. I love this, I love them. I'm always super happy to have Academy of Villains back at the event. I think that they're so talented, and I think they really bring something different to Halloween Horror Nights. And this year they'll be returning to the Fear Factor Live stage with their new show, Academy of Villains Altered States. So the description for this year's show is that man's true nature will be dragged out into the dark, gothic streets of anarchy. Sounds good? Interested in the gothic. However, in the press release for these announcements, we were also told that we'll see the debut of a brand new show at Halloween Horror Nights 29. Now I imagine that this will be a water show and that they'll utilise the fountains from Cinematic Celebration to display clips and music from films and shows that are at this year's event. I always remember the Lagoon show that they had at Halloween Horror Nights Sweet 16, and they had these giant spheres that they'd project clips onto, and I thought it was awesome. But as of yet, that second show is unannounced, and so is our very last house of the year. With just 3 weeks to go until the event starts, I imagine these final 2 announcements will be coming sometime in this next week. Let me know what you guys think about the announcements that we've talked about today in the comments down below. And if we're not already friends on Twitter and Instagram, you can find me here and we can talk about all things Halloween Horror Nights. I'll also be posting a whole bunch of stuff on Twitter and Instagram during my trip to Halloween Horror Nights in just a few weeks. If you want to get yourself in the Halloween Horror Nights mood, you can go back and watch my vlogs from previous years. I will post the playlist links in one of these corners and also on the slide at the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in a few days with our final announcements. Bye bye!